His first race with Mark was 1900 metres in gravel, and he just roared home.
Goat is on the outside and Aslan. Bolt Silvano and Aslan hitting the wire. Bolt Silvano won it.
I must admit, I've never seen a horse work this badly and win ever. So, obviously that's the way he is. I mean, everyone's been saying so. But you like to get a little bit of confidence going in the race, All we could do at the end of the day was have him as fit as we could. And we went into the race completely open-minded, not knowing what to expect.
He's a laid-back horse. He's lazy when he works. And then when he hits the track, he sets himself alight.
But Irish Flame came into the lead. Bolt Silvano's running on late on the outside. Irish Flame, Bolt Silvano's coming with a surging run on the outside. Irish Flame holds him though. Irish Flame from Bolt Silvano.
Then he had one more run before the July, which was just really his last warm-up. The family were beside themselves in the build-up to the July. Wherever I went, every evening over our glass of wine, was all we talked about was Bolt Silvano, Bolt Silvano. The staff were getting so excited, the friends were getting so excited. I knew that the horse was very likely to win the race, as long as nothing untoward happened, on the day. So I had never been to gravel before, so I didn't really know how everything worked. So I thought, well, I'll do a recce. About race 5, I'll go down and do a recce and see where the winners comes in and all that. So, because I could hardly, very well say to somebody, where do I go if my horse wins the race? So I went down the back of the building, because we were 5 flights up, and I see, oh yes, they all come to these cement compartments at the parade ring. So this is where I must be. So I thought, well, I'll never get all the way down from the box to here. I better go, and I'll go and watch with the general public on the side of the track. Well, it was naive, because when the horses came pounding down the straight, the crowd noise drowned out the commentary. Everybody was jumping up and down. I couldn't see the TV screen. I couldn't see the finish post because everybody had just closed ranks. And I just saw this little parade of jockeys' caps going past, and I didn't know who had won or where my horse had come or anything. And there was an Indian gentleman standing next to me, so I said to him, who won? Who won? He said, I don't know. And then the next thing we heard, Bolt Silvano. So I flung my arms around him and gave him a bear hug. I said, that's my horse. And he looked a bit startled, and he said, well, I won lots of money on him. So we had another hug. Then I went pushing my way through the crowd off to the parade ring where I thought I was supposed to be. And I stood there and I waited, and I thought, well, it's very quiet here. And then Rose Parker came down the back of the building. First time in my life I've ever seen Rose run anywhere. She ran across with her arms widespread to give me a hug. And the two of us were congratulating ourselves there. And I thought, it's funny. I wonder where everybody is.
Just waiting for Gill Thompson to get down to join us.
Then I heard them say, well, we're just waiting for Mrs. Thompson to join us. I thought, I'm in the wrong place. So I went belting off through the crowd and came running and stumbling down the carpet just in time to get my photograph taken. The jockey was already off the horse. All the festivities were done. I thought, I just don't believe this. I've just won the Durban July and I'm going to miss the presentation.
Mrs. Gill Thompson, all the way from East London. We would ask Ashley and Rose Parker, would you like to join Gill?
Since then, my life I haven't touched the ground. Everybody said, well, the hype goes on, and I thought, well, how come so? But it really has. I've had people in East London waving to me out of motorcar windows, and friends that jumped up and down on their couches, screaming and crying when my horse won. And the next day, my cousin was taking her dog for a walk, and she still had tears rolling down her face. It's just really been something special. I think people think an event like this is exclusively for the mega wealthy, and maybe I was just in the right place at the right time. I sometimes battle to sleep, and I'll sit outside in the veranda and feel quite tearful with frustration that my father wasn't here to see this all happen, because he supported my horse habit from when I was a little girl. He moved the family out of town so that I could have a horse to ride. He carted me around. He had this dreadful old an old GMC or an old Chev thing. I've seen them now on sort of vintage motor car shows. And he made this homemade wooden thing on the back that the horses could travel, because there were nobody had horse boxes in those days. And he took me all over the place, and he was my greatest fan. Thought I was, the next Gonda-Betrix, and just loved the horses, loved the riding, and always had huge confidence in my abilities and talent as a little girl. So he would have been absolutely beside himself over winning the Durban July. He just really would have. So that's the only thing that really makes me sad. I would have loved him to be here.
This coming Saturday, bold Silvano faces his biggest challenge to date when he takes on the likes of Henry Cecil's English superstar twice over, winner of the final round of the Maktoum Challenge, in the world's richest race, the Dubai World Cup at Meydan Racecourse in Dubai.
And wins it well. Away they go in the second round. Bold Silvano from the inside.
But despite missing his preparatory outing in that third round of the Maktoum Challenge, after bruising a sole in exercise, bold Silvano is in the form of his life. Racing in blue and yellow colours of his co-owner Sheikh Mohammed bin Khalifa Al Maktoum, to whom Gill Thompson sold a share when he transferred to Mike de Kock, bold Silvano showed his well-being in the second round of the Challenge Series at the beginning of February.
He's going great guns. Christoph Simeon looked at the big screen to see how far in front he was. He's 2 lengths clear, offspring of fame, and it is bold Silvano, a big winner.
When I went to visit him, I had already booked to go to Dubai. So when Mike phoned and said, look, he's bruised his sole, and my gut feeling is to, just give him box rest and not chance it, I said, well, I'm coming anyway. Everything's booked and, I'm paid for. So I went to visit him. He's looking absolutely stunning. He's as hard as a rock. He's as calm as they come. And I went into the stable to say hello to him. I mean, you can walk in and love him and throw your arms around his neck. And he has a habit, when he's running, he hangs his tongue out the side of his mouth, so he has to have it strapped down. And as soon as I went in to play with him, he hung his tongue out the front of his mouth, right out, and then he wants you to fiddle and play with his tongue. So I was doing that, and then this voice in the background says, don't make a pet out of him, he's got work to do. And I turned around, there's Mike. Anyway, they all seem besotted over the horse. And so it's looking good. We've got a big bunch going over, and we're taking our flags, and we're going to have a ball. I sort of wish that the race was first and then the fun afterwards, so I can relax and enjoy it. But anyway, just to have a horse running is amazing. But I think he's a fabulous horse. He's a big, strong, confident horse. He's super fit. They've taught him to use the treadmill, so he was on the treadmill. I'd love to have seen that when his sole was bruised. And Gavin always maintained, he said he knows when he's won. He comes back to the yard and he's got a completely, like this look at me thing. I think he's a special horse. I really do. I think he's a chip off the old block. I think he's the same sort of horse as his father. His father won all over the world at 3, at 4, at 5. And Dr. Jacobs said he thinks he was at his best as a 5-year-old. And everything that they tell me about Silvano, my horse, I think he's like a clone. I've had horses for 50 years. And nobody is involved with horses that long without knowing that they're a great leveler. And like the bruised soul. I often say to people, whoever coined the phrase as strong as a horse never had one, because they are accident prone, they are pepperig. I mean, anything can go wrong. If my horse gets a good draw and the race is a fair one, I think he can win. And I'm not saying that lightly. And I said to Mark, I don't like coming second. I'm confident, and I'm really holding thumbs for the rest of the country and all the people who are going over. We're going to have a ball, we're going to have fun, and, well, on the big night, hold thumbs for us.